Hello everyone, Dr. Chad Kuntz, and we're back on the Primetime Podcast. I have a very special guest. This is Dr. Monica Vaghela. Monica, thanks so much for hopping on today.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So guys, Dr. Monica is a naturopathic doctor who is using an integrative approach in patient care by looking at the whole person and finding the root cause. We are in Pineville, right? We're on Caramel Commons?
Mm-hmm. Caramel Commons.
Caramel.
I don't know. I always called it caramel.
I'm from Michigan, so I might have found myself getting in trouble already with that one.
I think it's caramel.
It's awesome. So I'm over here, guys. It's a very peaceful, quiet, nice setting. And I kind of joked with her. I felt like I was getting healthier walking in the door. Like there's a nice incense, some nice background noises, and I'm really excited to kind of pick your brain on some hot topics today. But before we kind of get into that, just introduce yourself, kind of tell us about who you are, your background. Some people may not even know what a naturopathic doctor is, so take as much time as you need to kind of get started with that.
All right, thanks, Chad.
Sure.
Yes, so I'm Monica Vaghela. I'm a naturopathic doctor here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The practice I'm with is Charlotte Natural Wellness, and we are located in Caramel Commons, so just off of Johnston Road and Pineville Matthews Road. And I kind of grew up in Charlotte.
Oh, really?
Yes.
A rare breed.
Yeah. I came here. I moved here when I was in 10th grade, so high school.
Okay.
I went to Providence High. Anyone curious to know?
Shout out.
Yeah. And then I actually went to UNC Charlotte for my undergrad.
Gotcha. Nice.
And so from there, I decided I wanted to become a naturopath. And the way I kind of came upon that was I've always kind of grown up with natural remedies and basically being from an Indian background.
Sure.
My mom used a lot of like Ayurvedic remedies and things like that at home.
Sweet. Okay.
And so like if I had a stomach ache, she'd say, "Oh, eat these seeds, you'll be fine." And it worked.
Nice.
And all these things really helped.
Nice.
Or like when we got sick and I would get a sore throat, she said, "Drink this," and it was a turmeric drink that she would make.
Yeah.
And I got better. And so, I started thinking about this, and I also took a economic botany class.
Wow.
At UNCC.
That is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. And we talked about, we started learning about the medicinal uses of plants in one of the classes, and that's kind of when I was intrigued with that whole topic and decided to kind of look further about, well, what is all this about, and how can I learn more, and kind of came across naturopathic medicine.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider going a traditional route?
No, I've never really been, I did work in a pharmacy at one point, and I just never really found it very interesting for me.
Sure.
So it was not something that I really wanted to go down that path, and it was, I think timing is everything, and this kind of came to me at the right time, and it felt right, and I'm really excited that I'm a naturopathic doctor now.
And honestly, it's something that I've only learned about in the past few years, and it's something I wish I probably would have known for such a long time, and I'm hoping for you listening at home, depending on where you're at and what you hear today, you can start to consider this profession as well. You start to hear about all the ugly, negative stuff, and I hate to bash them, but it's just the nature of the beast sometimes, and the medicinal use and the pharmaceutical use and the side effects, and I just think, and we'll kind of get into it, but the natural way to heal and using the herbs and like what the earth provides us, it's quite profound, So one of the first things, and you had kind of already mentioned it a little bit, but it sounds like, and I read up upon it a little bit, that you practice Ayurvedic medicine. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I'm really not too familiar with that. I'm sure some of my clients are at home are like, what? So let's kind of tap into that and tell us a bit about what that's all about.
Sure. So Ayurvedic medicine is Indian medicine, and it's basically based on 3 body types and lifestyle and your diet, and circadian rhythms and things like that. So there's 3 different body types. We call them doshas. They're Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And in those doshas, you want your body to be balanced. So if you start to lean towards a Vata or you start to lean towards a Kapha, you're imbalanced. And then that's where you have to start looking at, all right, well, what foods are beneficial for Vata body type, so I can bring myself back into balance. For example, Vata body types are very thin, they're usually slender, narrow-shouldered, they're cold all the time, whereas Kapha body types tend to be bigger, they have like oily skin, they kind of are sluggish metabolism types, so just kind of depending on your body type, you want to be able to eat and exercise according to that.
It sounds like it must have a very rich history.
Yes.
How long ago did this start?
Thousands of years.
Amazing.
Thousands of years, yes.
Wow, it's fascinating. Very cool. So if you're interested in learning more about that, and we'll tap into that too, but if you're interested in learning more, we'll make sure that they have the resources to figure that out before we live today. Another really big topic, huge, that I wanted to talk about today is intermittent fasting. So tell us a little bit, and I know it can be like, well, because there's so many hot, beliefs on this, right? Either way, one or the other. But for those that are interested, maybe they've heard from a friend, they've seen on the website, they've seen a commercial that it's helping people out, and they're like, maybe that could be good for me. I just packed on 10 pounds over the course of the holidays or what have you. Maybe that's what I need to do. So if they came to you, what kind of advice or suggestions would you provide them?
Yes, sure. So yes, I do have a lot of patients ask me about intermittent fasting, and the way I usually start someone on it is start a couple times a week and do 12-hour fasts. So if you have your last meal at 6 p.m., you would start after you finish that meal. So say you finish at 6:30, then you would start that fast at 6:30 p.m. and you wouldn't eat again until 6:30 a.m.
Okay.
And water is okay. Black coffee is okay. With intermittent fasting, but you don't want to have like any cream or sugar in those coffees and things like that. And same thing with tea, like herbal teas. Are okay. I would recommend like maybe a green tea. And then just no added sugars or honey or anything like that. Okay.
Are there any qualifiers that would make you think, wow, this person's a really good candidate for intermittent fasting?
I think most everybody can do it. Okay. I don't think there's necessarily a particular person that shouldn't do it. Or, of course, if you're pregnant, don't do it.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you have to say that sometimes, right?
Right. Yeah. And then as far as females, if you're in your cycle, if you are on your monthly cycle, then I would recommend just kind of taking it easy those few days. Even in Ayurvedic medicine, we kind of recommend that you don't do hard exercises or things like that. So just that would go with the intermittent fasting as well, is just kind of give your body some time to go through that process, and then you could start back up again.
And what would you say are maybe some of the key benefits that people would have if they truly undergo intermittent fasting the right way?
Definitely improved insulin. So like you don't have those insulin spikes. Weight loss, things like that are really, really good for insulin.
Perfect. So I imagine for those maybe even pre-diabetic?
Yeah, it could definitely help
stabilize them a little bit, because they might have some spikes as well too. Okay.
But you have to make sure the meals you're eating during your eating window are good too.
Gotcha.
So you
can't gorge.
No.
Like I probably would. Yeah.
Right. Like you can't just break your fast. Like I don't recommend breaking your fast with like, I don't know, Oreos.
Sure, double stuffed Oreos.
You want to break your fast with something good, like a healthy fat, like avocados, nuts and seeds, things like that are healthy and going to provide nutrition for your body, fuel for your body.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. And it happens to be January, which I believe is Thyroid Awareness Month. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
That's something that I'm sure you help your clients kind of practice around. So. Tell us about kind of what you've seen clinically and the trends, and who's experiencing thyroid disease, and maybe how can we start to manage that and prevent it?
Sure. So there's a lot of people, a huge population with thyroid disease. A lot of it's undiagnosed.
Really?
1 in 10 people have thyroid disease. And so what I've just noticed trend-wise that, people who are tired, can't lose weight, particularly around the belly, hair falling out or thinning, things like that are signs to look out for thyroid disorder.
Okay.
And then you could do some tests to find out.
Are you guys able to run those tests, or how would that work if someone's like, oh my God, I have all those symptoms, and they come to you? I guess, how would you test for that, and then what would be some of the next steps?
Yes, so we do run blood work. Unfortunately, it's not covered by insurance because of the laws here in North Carolina for naturopaths, but we can run thyroid testing, a thyroid panel. So basically what we run is like a TSH, a free T3, free T4, reverse T3. Those are usually my go-to tests.
And in layman's terms?
So, layman's terms. So TSH is your thyroid stimulating hormone.
There we go. Perfect.
That's how we know that the pituitary puts out that hormone to tell your thyroid gland to make free T3, free T4, which is your active form of thyroid hormone.
So to kind of summarize, so the pituitary gland's in the brain, right? And that tells the thyroid kind of what to produce. And there's two kind of main stimulating glands that we have to keep an eye out on. Is that right?
The pituitary and the thyroid, yes. And the adrenal glands tie into this too.
Nice. Let's hold that thought.
Okay.
Because we'll probably come back into that for a second, because I'm sure. So, all right, so let's say we run some tests, and it's like, wow, I would say it's probably more common than not to have hypothyroidism?
Yes, that is the more common one.
So let's say that comes back. What do we do about it?
Yes, so what we recommend here, a lot of it is heavily focused on nutrition, diet, lifestyle, exercise, self-care, sleep hygiene, things like that. So there's certain foods that are less beneficial to people who have hypothyroidism, particularly goitrogens.
Tell me about that. Let's hear it. That sounds interesting.
So goitrogens are okay to eat. Those are examples of goitrogens are like broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, like things that are healthy for us, right?
Right. I'm like, oh crap, those all sound good.
Yes. Yeah. But they're okay to eat if they're cooked.
Interesting. Not raw.
Not raw. So if you have a thyroid disorder, you want to make sure that those things you're not eating raw.
Profoundly helpful. Okay. And is this something stress could affect too?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that means we got to start to manage stress as well. Is there a perfect type of diet for something like that, or is that something like a case-by-case basis that you have to work with someone?
It's mostly case by case. Of course, gluten, processed foods, refined sugars, things like that are not good for any kind of disorder, disease. But particularly thyroid, if you want to put less stress on the body, eating as much as much unprocessed foods, unrefined foods, things like that.
Can people expect a full recovery? Or is it something like, well, let's just say if we can mitigate and manage this now?
As far as my clinical experience, once someone's been diagnosed with a thyroid disorder, they're always going to be a little bit prone to it.
Oh, okay.
Or prone to it, I would say. And then it's more about managing it and knowing how to deal with it. And I have had people lose weight and feel more energy and have more energy throughout the day. Hair grows back, things like that have significantly improved with those recommendations that we make here.
And what would be kind of the timeline? Like, all right, let's say we take care of your sleep, your stress is getting better, you're eating better. What would be kind of an expected timeline where someone could say, hey, things are starting to turn around?
I've had people turn around in a few weeks' time.
Really?
Like 4 to 8 weeks.
Wow. And we're talking, I would guess, after years of somewhat of a accumulation of stress, or I guess there could be like a traumatic breakdown, all right? If they came with a huge stress, I guess, on one day.
Sure, and it's not like, they're 100% in 4 to 8 weeks, but they start to notice changes.
That's pretty profound, though. You're talking about the hormonal system, right? That's not an easy shift for the body. You're playing with some strong strong factors there.
Right,
Okay.
right. And we do recommend herbs to help support the thyroid gland and the adrenal glands, which I know are getting into.
Yeah, I'm excited about it talking too. All right, let's just jump into it because I'm going to want to know what herbs to take for thyroid as well as adrenal. So
Sure.
how do adrenal glands fit in? What's the relationship with all of this?
Sure.
Let's get into that.
Sure. So your adrenal glands put out cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It's your flight or fight, or also supports your circadian rhythms.
Okay.
And so when you have excess stress, chronic stress that's constantly going, which a lot of people in today's society
Pretty much everyone
has with social media
Right.
computers and emails and all that stuff. So
exactly.
with all of that going on, we're kind of under this underlying chronic stress constantly. And if you're not taking actions to minimize or make time for self-care, you're putting out this excess cortisol. And now, how does that relate to the brain and your thyroid gland? So cortisol, the adrenal glands have a feedback loop that connects with the hypothalamus, which is part of the brain.
Okay.
And then also the pituitary gland, which is also part of the brain. Now, when there's that excess cortisol, it kind of goes and stimulates that hypothalamus saying, hey, we have so much cortisol. And that hypothalamus is what's supposed to stimulate the pituitary gland to make that thyroid stimulating hormone.
Got it.
So when you have that excess stress, you can actually cause issues with that feedback loop and mess up the communication between the hypothalamus pituitary to tell the thyroid what to do.
Not good.
No.
Yeah. Does caffeine play a role in all of this?
Oh, it could. It absolutely could. So with my patients with adrenal fatigue, I actually recommend no caffeine.
Really? For how long?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes, huh? Do you tend to find a lot of them have been taking too much caffeine and drinking pots of coffee and that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. I have people that have come in and they're like, well, I only drink 2 cups of coffee. And then I'm like, okay, so what else? How much water are you drinking? Well, maybe 2. And then I ask them, get into the conversation a little bit more, and we find out that they've been having like 4 sodas a day. And you're like, okay, well, you're getting some caffeine there.
They don't really even realize that probably, huh? Another thing, just caffeine is just so widespread and kind of immersed as part of our social culture, right? And like, let's go meet up for coffee. Let's go meet up for coffee. And it's just kind of everywhere. It feels like to me, you throw that on top of the 2020 corporate America lifestyle. Everyone's busier, stressed out than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Despite having more technology than ever, but still, it is what it is. And so I imagine you're probably seeing a lot of adrenal fatigue in here too.
Yes, we see a lot of that, and I have a lot of recommendations for people as far as helping to support that. A lot of it is meditation.
Nice.
There's tons of apps now that you can use for meditation. Going outside for a walk, being in the sun for a little bit.
Nice.
Especially if you can get outside in the morning time.
Nice.
That's great.
Nice.
Get some natural vitamin D because everybody's low in vitamin D too.
Yeah.
And then, just practicing sleep hygiene, turning off your phone an hour before bed. All of these things really make a difference in your overall health, but also like your adrenal health.
It's amazing how it feels like just getting back to the basics. I mean, you're literally talking about go outside, sleep. And that's really what the body needs. And that's what the body's done and been exposed to for really what feels like all of our existence, right? But now with all this technology and this and that, we find ourselves cooped up and stressed out with more psychological stressors than ever. And then it feels like they come into you and it's kind of like, we just need to, let's get back to the basics here a little bit.
Yeah.
And the phones at night make a big, I've even talked to a few of my clients trying to get them back to working out and so, right? And they're like, well, I'm not getting to sleep by 10 or 11 because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm on my phone 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm like, talk about jacking up your circadian rhythm, like you just said, not to mention with that kind of false lighting right in front of their eyes, ruining all of that. So.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not sure about other phones, but I know the iPhone actually lets you turn the blue light off.
Yeah.
There's a setting on, and you can go to your settings and you can actually turn that off. So I have mine set to turn off after 8 p.m. That way if I am on my phone for any reason, at least I'm minimizing the amount of light
Yeah.
I'm exposed to.
I want to piggyback off that a little bit too, because I even think I saw this in your Instagram post. Those glasses.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? The blue light glasses. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The blue light filtering glasses. So basically, they just help prevent eye strain.
Oh, okay.
I don't wear glasses, so I just bought a non-prescription pair.
Yeah.
I kind of just bought them to try them out.
Mm-hmm.
I never used them before, and I was like, all right, well, let me just give this a try. And the ones that I have only filter about 30% of blue light.
Oh, interesting.
Those have made such a big difference. Like,
really?
I still feel like I sleep really well at night using those. And, just overall, I don't feel as tired. My eyes don't feel as tired at the end of the day.
Really good. Okay.
So, yeah, they've been really helpful.
That's something I kind of wanted to start looking at myself, because I find myself working behind the computer, like more and more back-end computer, work stuff to do. And I'm thinking to myself, it can't be all that healthy just sitting here staring at this vibrant computer screen all the time. It's like, I got to get away from this,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Might have to try those out.
For sure, because one of my friends is an optometrist, and I talked to her about this, and she said that we should definitely be using those.
I bet.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, a topic for another day, perhaps.
Yeah.
And we're also transitioning into February, which ironically turns out to be, Heart Health Month? Is that right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that you deal with helping people with their heart health as well. So I wanted to kind of leave with some advice and tips that you could share on the most important part of our body, arguably, or one of them, right? What can people start to do to start to think about, how can I take care of my health? Maybe I'm starting to slip away from a good routine for that.
Well, good advice for heart health is, getting your omega-3s, flaxseed, chia seeds, fish oils, things like that.
Sure.
Cardiovascular exercise. Walking is great exercise for Heart Health Month, or heart health in general.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to getting outside and maybe
exactly.
going
there
for
you
a
go
walk.
Again. Yeah.
If you have a pet or a dog, take them out for a walk.
Yeah.
Do half an hour. Try to do it 5 times a week
Sure.
at least. So those are some little tips that you can use to just keep your ticker healthy.
That's right. And if people don't necessarily buy supplements, all they could, as there are natural forms of omega-3s and flaxseed out there, and food that they could go out and start eating again to help out with that?
Oh, absolutely. Fish is a great source. You want to make sure that the fish is wild caught, though, and not farm raised.
Really? Okay, perfect. Well, listen, we covered some really big stuff. I'm sure people have some questions. For those that you are catching us live, just make sure to comment below, and we'll make sure to get those answers out to you. But I really want people to know how to start working with you. All right, so tell us a little bit about the process. Do they come in for an hour evaluation, and is there some type of screening, and then some type of program that's provided? So what does that all shape out to be for you?
Sure, yes. So the way it's set up is the initial visit is actually a 2-part combined visit.
Sweet. Okay.
So the first part is 1 hour.
Okay.
That's when I'll take a full medical history.
Okay.
And then at that time, we'll determine if there's any kind of specialty testing that needs to be done. For example, we talked about adrenal health quite a bit today.
Right.
And so we offer a saliva test to check for, your adrenal function. To see if there's any adrenal fatigue and that sort of thing. We also have GI testing that we do here, and other just specialty tests. So if there's any kind of issues in those hormonal areas, we can definitely take a look. And we'll determine that on your first visit.
Nice.
To see which one I think you would need.
Nice.
From there, you would either take a kit from our office or go and have your blood drawn. We usually go to Ulta or any lab test now for those types of things.
Okay.
And then we'll wait for the results. It depends on the lab to know how long the results will take, but some can take anywhere up to 3 to 4 weeks for me to get results. So I usually do the part 2 follow-up in about a month.
Got it.
And in the meantime, I've made some general recommendations that patients can use to start making changes.
Okay.
And then once we get those results, I make the specific recommendations as far as supplements and just specific recommendations for whatever has come back abnormal.
Very good. Sounds like it's very customized and objective too, in terms of Because I think sometimes holistic health is more like, well, are they just giving it to you because they feel like you need this? But I like that you're kind of going out there and really giving the testing and saying this is what your numbers are, this is kind of our follow-up plan, and then from there, from where you just finished off, is it something like, oh, let's check in once every 6 months or once a month, or what would you? They were kind of looking at maybe almost a year-long plan. How often would they have to come back after that?
Sure. So I usually see my patients once a month for a little while. I want to make sure that the recommendations I've given them are helping.
Perfect.
And if there needs to be tweaks, then we make those at that time. And then once they start to feel good, they can come see me as often as they need. I like to check in at least every 6 months just to make sure they're doing fine.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's just as needed.
Okay, perfect. Website, phone number that you'd like to share?
Yes, www.charlottenaturalwellness.com, and our phone number is 704-543-5540, and we do offer a free 15-minute phone consultation.
Perfect.
So if anybody wants to find out more information, just give us a call. Or you could schedule on our website too.
Oh, you can? Wonderful.
For the consultation, yes.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Monica, for hopping on today's Primetime Podcast. I always learn a lot, but I especially learned a lot today. Definitely check them out. I think they're doing some really unique, amazing things over here in a really nice, quiet, kind of one-on-one, peaceful setting. So thanks again for hopping on.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.